"Return fire," Lyra ordered, gripping the arms of her command chair. The Nemesis shuddered as its main weapons unleashed a barrage of gravimetric torpedoes and phase-shift cannon fire. To everyone's relief, the advanced weaponry seemed to have an effect. Several enemy fighters disappeared in brilliant explosions, and one of the capital ships listed to the side, venting atmosphere and debris. But the victory was short-lived. The remaining Void Devourer ships pressed their attack with renewed vigor. Reality itself seemed to warp around them, making targeting nearly impossible. "Shields at 60% and dropping," Elia reported, her fingers dancing over the tactical console. "Whatever they're hitting us with, it's eating through our defenses like acid." Zix's voice crackled over the com. "Captain, the reactor's struggling to keep up with the power demands. We can't maintain this level of output for long." Lyra's mind raced, searching for a solution. They were outgunned and outnumbered, and their one advantage, the advanced technology of the Nemesis, wasn't enough to turn the tide. "RIA," she called out, desperation edging into her voice. "Is there anything in the ship's databanks about Void Devourer weaknesses? Any special weapons or tactics we haven't tried?" The AI's response was instantaneous. "Accessing restricted files. Warning. The following protocol is highly experimental and potentially dangerous to implement. We're out of options, RIA." "What is it?" The Nemesis is equipped with a prototype device called the Reality Anchor. It was designed to stabilize space-time in the presence of Void Devourer reality warping abilities. However, using it will require diverting all power from non-essential systems, including life support. There is also a 76.4% chance of severe structural damage to the ship. Lyra hesitated for a split second, weighing the lives of her crew against the fate of the galaxy. "Do it," she ordered, her voice grim with determination. As Aria initiated the Reality Anchor, the Nemesis shuddered violently. Lights flickered and died throughout the ship as power was rerouted. On the bridge, emergency oxygen masks deployed as the air grew thin. A beam of pure, white energy erupted from the bow of the Nemesis, spreading outward in a rapidly expanding sphere. As it washed over the Void Devourer ships, their erratic movements ceased. The reality distortions surrounding them flickered and died. "Now," Lyra shouted, her voice muffled by the oxygen mask. "All ships, concentrate fire on the largest Devourer vessel." The combined firepower of the Confederation fleet, no longer hindered by reality warping defenses, tore through the suddenly vulnerable Void Devourer ships. One by one, they erupted into silent explosions, leaving behind only twisted debris and lingering questions. As the last enemy ship disintegrated, a cheer went up from the surviving Confederation vessels. But on the bridge of the Nemesis, the victory felt hollow. "Damage report," Lyra wheezed, struggling to breathe in the thinning atmosphere. Krell's paws fumbled with his console. "Hull breaches on decks 5 through 12. The Reality Anchor device it's gone, Captain. Burned out completely. We're operating on emergency power only." Zix's voice came weakly over the com. "The reactor's offline. We're dead in space, Captain." As the adrenaline of battle faded, the true cost of their victory became apparent. The Nemesis, humanity's greatest legacy and the galaxy's best hope for survival, floated powerless amidst the debris of their fallen enemy. But even as repair crews scrambled and medical teams tended to the wounded, a new revelation was unfolding. In the ship's laboratories, xenobiologists pored over the skint remains of the Void Devourers, piecing together the true nature of their ancient foe. Hours later, exhausted but recovering, Lyra stood before a holographic representation of a Void Devourer's cellular structure. Zix, bandages wrapped around 2 of his tentacles, gestured excitedly. "It's incredible, Captain," the Arcturian scientist exclaimed. "The Void Devourers, they're not just some cosmic force of destruction. They're alive, but not like anything we've ever encountered before." Lyra leaned in, her antenna twitching with curiosity. "What do you mean?" Their biology, if you can call it that, exists partially in our reality, and partially elsewhere. That's why they can manipulate space-time so easily. But it also makes them vulnerable to things like the reality anchor, which forces them fully into our plane of existence. Admiral Fax, who had arrived with reinforcements in the battle's aftermath, growled thoughtfully. So they can be killed. That's something, at least. In the vast, shimmering expanse of the Cygnus Arm, the survey vessel Stellar Horizon drifted silently through an uncharted nebula. Captain Lyra Voss stood at the helm, her 4 eyes scanning the swirling cosmic dust that obscured their sensors. The ship's mixed crew of various alien species worked diligently at their stations, each chosen for their expertise in deep space exploration. "Captain, I'm detecting an anomaly dead ahead," reported Zix, the ship's Arcturian science officer. His tentacles waved excitedly over the console. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Lyra leaned forward, her antennae twitching with curiosity. "On screen, Zix. Let's see what we're dealing with." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a massive structure hidden within the nebula's heart. It was a colossal ring, easily dwarfing their ship, with strange, pulsing energy coursing through intricate patterns on its surface. "By the cosmic winds," whispered Krell, the Ursan navigator, his fur standing on end. "What is that thing?" Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. In all her years exploring the galaxy for the United Stellar Confederation, she had never encountered anything like this. "Zix, full sensor sweep. Krell, take us in closer, but maintain a safe distance. Leah, power up the shields, just in case." As the Stellar Horizon approached the colossal ring, its energy patterns began to shift and intensify. Suddenly, a beam of light shot out from the structure, enveloping the ship in a soft, blue glow. "Captain," Yulia, the serene tactical officer, called out, "Our systems are being scanned, but I'm not detecting any harmful radiation or attempts to breach our defenses." Before Lyra could respond, a shimmering hologram materialized on the bridge. It took the form of a Bictal being, unlike any species they had encountered before. Its features were smooth and its eyes glowed with an inner light. "Greetings, explorers," the hologram spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than through the air. "I'm the guardian, keeper of this gateway and protector of humanity's legacy." A hush fell over the bridge. Humanity was a myth, a long-lost species spoken of in ancient legends across the galaxy. Yet here was a construct claiming to be their custodian. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Am Captain Lyra Voss of the United Stellar Confederation. We come in peace and with great curiosity. Can you tell us more about this structure and the humans you speak of?" The Guardian's form shimmed, and the hologram expanded to encompass the entire bridge. Suddenly, the crew found themselves surrounded by images of a civilization of staggering advancement. Worlds transformed, stars harnessed for energy, and feats of engineering that boggled the mind. Long ago, the Guardian began. Humanity stood at the pinnacle of galactic civilization. They had unlocked the secrets of the cosmos and spread their influence across the stars. But with great power came great responsibility, and ultimately, great danger. The images shifted, showing scenes of an epic battle against a terrifying, otherworldly force. Strange, shadowy entities consumed entire star systems as massive fleets of sleek, black ships fought desperately against the tide. The Void Devourers came from beyond the galactic rim. The Guardian continued, a cosmic force of destruction that threatened all life. Humanity stood against them, but at a terrible cost. As their civilization fell, they created this gateway and others like it, hidden throughout the galaxy. Each one leads to a piece of their legacy, powerful artifacts and technologies that they hoped would one day help the younger races stand against the darkness. Lyra's mind reeled at the implications. "Are you saying that the Void Devourers still exist? That they might return?" The Guardian's expression grew solemn. The threat is eternal, Captain. The Devourers are as old as the universe itself, and they will never truly be defeated. They can only be pushed back, forced into dormancy for a time. But yes, there are signs that they are stirring once more. Zix spoke up, his voice filled with awe and trepidation. What lies beyond this gateway? What piece of humanity's legacy does it protect? The hologram shifted again, revealing a massive starship unlike anything they had ever seen. Its hull was a deep, light-absorbing black that seemed to bend the very starlight around it. Despite its colossal size, it radiated an aura of sleek deadliness. "This is the Nemesis," the Guardian announced, "the most powerful warship ever created by human hands. Within its hulls lies the key to unlocking humanity's cosmic legacy, and perhaps the only hope of standing against the coming storm." Over the next few days, the crew of the Stellar Horizon worked tirelessly to integrate with the Nemesis's systems. RIA proved to be an invaluable guide, patiently explaining the ship's advanced technology and the principles behind it. Zix spent hours in the engine room, marveling at the dark matter reactor that powered the massive vessel. "It's harnessing energy from the very fabric of space-time," he explained to Lyra during a brief break. "With this, we could cross the galaxy in a matter of days." Leah, the tactical officer, found herself drawn to the weapons systems. "The offensive capabilities are beyond anything I've ever seen," she reported. "Gravimetric torpedoes, phase-shift cannons, even something called a reality anchor. Though I'm not entirely sure what that does." As the days stretched into weeks, the crew made progress, but not without challenges. The neural interfaces required to fully control the ship's systems were designed for human physiology, requiring careful adaptation for each alien species. More than once, the power surges from failed activation attempts left crew members with splitting headaches and temporary sensory disorientation. Meanwhile, tensions in the wider galaxy were reaching a boiling point. News of the Nemesis's discovery had spread like wildfire through the United Stellar Confederation. Some saw it as a beacon of hope, a tool to usher in a new age of peace and prosperity. Others feared it as a potential weapon of mass destruction, too powerful to be left in the hands of any single group. Admiral Thax, a grizzled veteran of the Confederation Navy, arrived with a flotilla of ships to secure the area around the Nemesis. His massive form, a hybrid of organic and cybernetic components, filled the view screen as he addressed Lyra. "Captain Voss, I hope you understand the gravity of your situation. Half the Confederation Council wants to throw you a parade, while the other half wants you tried for treason." Lyra's expression remained neutral. "With all due respect, Admiral, we don't have time for political games. The threat of the Void Devourers—" Thax cut her off with a wave of his cybernetic arm. "Fairy tales and ancient myths. We deal in reality, Captain. And the reality is that you're sitting on the most powerful weapon in known space. The Arcturian Empire is already making noise about perceived power imbalances. The Serene Collective is demanding access to the ship's databanks. We're on the brink of an interstellar incident." As if to punctuate the Admiral's words, alarms blared throughout the Nemesis. Lyra's voice came over the com system, tense and urgent. "Captain, we've got multiple unidentified ships dropping out of FTL. They're not responding to hails, and their weapons are hot." Lyra's mind raced. They weren't ready for this. The Nemesis was still only partially operational, its true power locked behind safeguards they had yet to fully understand. "RIA," she called out, "what's our status?" The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. "Main power at 60%. Weapon systems online but operating at reduced capacity. Shields at 80%. FTL drive offline." Lyra turned back to the view screen, where Admiral Thax awaited her response. "Admiral, we have incoming hostiles. Whatever disagreements we have, we need to work together now." Thax nodded grimly. "Agreed. My ships will form a defensive perimeter. But Voss, if you've got any tricks up your sleeve with that relic of yours, now would be the time. As the view screen went dark, Lyra turned to her crew. Krell, get us moving. Evasive maneuvers, but keep us between those ships and the gateway. Ilea, weapons free, but target propulsion and weapon systems only. Zix, I need options. Is there anything in the Nemesis systems that can end this without bloodshed? As her crew scrambled to their stations, Lyra felt the weight of command settle heavily on her shoulders. This was the moment of truth. They had awakened a sleeping giant, and now the galaxy was responding with fear and aggression. Suddenly, Zix's voice cut through the tension. Captain, I think I found something. It's called the Harmony Protocol. According to ARIA, it was designed as a last resort to quell interspecies conflict. What does it do? Lyra asked, hope and trepidation warring in her voice. It's hard to explain. It seems to create a localized field that enhances empathy and understanding between different species. But the power requirements are enormous, and there's no guarantee it will work on such a large scale. Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembled representatives. Zix, standing beside Lyra, waved his tentacles to call for attention. We've also made significant progress in understanding the Nemesis systems, the Arcturian scientist added. The ship's AI, ARIA, has been invaluable in translating and adapting human technology for our use. We estimate that we're now operating at about 75% capacity. A serene representative, her crystalline form shimmering with anxiety, spoke up. Is that enough? Will we be ready when they come? Lyra met the serene's gaze steadily. It will have to be. Our latest projections suggest we have less than a month before the first wave reaches inhabited space. We're as ready as we're going to be. The room erupted in a cacophony of voices, each representative voicing concerns and suggestions. Admiral Thax slammed his cybernetic fist on the table, restoring order. Enough. We knew this day was coming. Captain Voss and her crew have performed miracles getting us this far. Now it's time to put it all to the test. He turned to Lyra. Captain, what's our plan of attack? Lyra expanded the holographic display, focusing on a sector near the outer rim of the galaxy. We've detected a Void Devourer scout ship here, in the Epsilon Eridani system. It's smaller than the main fleet, but still a significant threat. I propose we intercept it there, away from populated areas. It'll be our best chance to test the Nemesis's capabilities and gather intel on our enemy. The plan was met with reluctant agreement. As the representatives filed out to prepare their respective forces, Admiral Thax lingered behind. It's a good plan, Voss, he said gruffly. But you know as well as I do that we're flying blind here. The Nemesis is untested in real combat, and we have no idea what these devourers are truly capable of. Lyra nodded, her antennae drooping slightly with the weight of responsibility. I know, Admiral, but we're out of options and out of time. We have to believe that humanity left us the tools we need to survive. As the Nemesis and its escort fleet prepared for departure, tension hung heavy in the recycled air. Crew members from a dozen different species worked side by side, each acutely aware that the fate of the galaxy might rest on their shoulders. In the engine room, Zix coordinated with a team of engineers, fine-tuning the dark matter reactor. Careful with those power couplings, he chittered nervously. One miscalculation and we could tear a hole in the fabric of space-time. On the bridge, Krell's fur stood on end as he plotted their course. Course laid in, Captain, he reported. The Epsilon Eridani system is 3 days away at maximum FTL. Ilea, at the tactical station, ran through weapons diagnostics for the dozenth time. All systems are green, but I still can't shake the feeling we're missing something. Lyra settled into the command chair, its adaptive surface conforming to her alien physiology. We've done all we can to prepare, she said, her voice steady despite her own doubts. "RIA, initiate FTL jump on my mark." As the Nemesis and its fleet vanished into the swirling vortex of faster-than-light travel, none of them could have predicted the true nature of the trial that awaited them. 3 days later, the fleet dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of the Epsilon Eridani system. The star field before them seemed peaceful, but appearances were deceiving. "Multiple contacts," Elia called out, her voice tense. "The Void Devourer scout ship is here, but, Captain, it's not alone. I'm counting at least 3 capital ships and dozens of smaller craft." Lyra's blood ran cold. "It's a trap," she whispered, before raising her voice. "Battle stations. All ships, defensive formation Omega. RIA, bring all weapon systems online and divert power to shields." The peaceful starfield erupted into chaos. The Void Devourer ships, dark silhouettes against the backdrop of space, moved with unnatural speed and precision. Energy beams of impossible colors lanced out, slicing through the shields of the smaller Confederation ships as if they were tissue paper. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, weighing her options. The approaching ships were moments away from firing range. Admiral Thax's flotilla was moving into position, weapons charged. One wrong move could spark a war that would tear the Confederation apart. "Do it," she said, opening her eyes with newfound determination. "RIA, initiate the Harmony Protocol." As the first shots were fired, the Nemesis came alive with pulsing energy. A wave of iridescent light burst from the ship, washing over friend and foe alike. For a moment, all was silent. Then, one by one, the weapons of every ship in the sector powered down. On the Nemesis's bridge, Lyra gasped as a flood of emotions and thoughts not her own washed over her. She felt the fear of the attacking ship's crews, the determination of Thax's forces, the curiosity and hope of her own team, and underlying it all, a deep primal terror of something vast and hungry awakening in the dark between the stars. As the effect faded, leaving everyone shaken but unharmed, a new understanding dawned. The threat they faced was real, and it was coming for them all. Lyra straightened her uniform and took a deep breath. "RIA, open a channel to all ships in the sector." As the AI complied, she addressed the fleet, her voice steady and resolute. "This is Captain Lyra Voss of the Nemesis. What you just experienced is proof of what we face and what we can achieve together. The Void Devourers are real, and they're coming. But this ship, this legacy of humanity, gives us a fighting chance. I'm asking you now, not as a Confederation officer, but as a fellow sentient being who wants to see our galaxy survive. Join us. Help us unlock the full potential of the Nemesis. Together, we can face the darkness and forge a new future for all our peoples." As responses began to flood in, Lyra allowed herself a small smile. The first battle had been won without a shot fired, but the war, the true war, was just beginning. The Nemesis was awake, and with it, the hope for all galactic life. Now, they just had to learn how to use it before it was too late. Trials of Fire, which will be a longer section focusing on the first confrontation with the cosmic threat, learning to harness the power of the warship, internal conflicts, and uncovering the true nature of humanity's ancient enemy. Part 3. Trials of Fire. The vast expanse of space surrounding the Nemesis bustled with activity. Ships from various species across the United Stellar Confederation moved in intricate patterns, ferrying supplies, personnel, and equipment to and from the colossal Black Warship. In the weeks following the Harmony Protocol incident, a tentative alliance had formed. The shared vision of the Void Devourer's threat had united former rivals in a common cause. Captain Lyra Voss stood on the Nemesis's observation deck, her 4 eyes scanning the organized chaos outside. The weight of command pressed heavily upon her shoulders, but there was a glimmer of hope in her gaze. "Captain," RIA's serene voice interrupted her thoughts. "Admiral Thax and the Council representatives have arrived for the briefing." Lyra nodded, straightening her uniform. "Thank you, RIA. Let's not keep them waiting." The briefing room was a testament to the ship's adaptability. What was once designed for human use had been modified to accommodate the various physiologies of the Alliance members. Around a large holographic display stood representatives from a dozen different species, their differences set aside in the face of a greater threat. Admiral Fax's imposing cyborg frame dominated one end of the room. Despite their initial confrontation, he had become one of Lyra's strongest allies in navigating the political minefield of their situation. "Captain Voss," he rumbled, a hint of respect in his synthetic voice. "I believe you have an update for us." Lyra stepped forward, activating the holographic display. Three-dimensional map of the galaxy materialized, with several areas highlighted in pulsing red. "Thanks to the Nemesis's advanced sensors and the combined data from our fleet, we've identified several anomalies that match the energy signatures of void devourer activity," she began. "They're still distant, but they're moving. And they're moving fast." Lyra felt the weight of the moment settle upon her shoulders. In the span of a few minutes, everything she thought she knew about the universe had been upended. The mythical humans were real, and they had created wonders beyond imagination. But more than that, they had entrusted the future of the galaxy to whoever would find their legacy. "What would you have us do?" Lyra asked, her voice filled with determination. The Guardian's form began to fade, its energy seeming to seep back into the gateway. "The choice is yours, Captain. You may walk away and pretend you never found this place. Or you can step through the gateway, claim the Nemesis, and take up the mantle that humanity left behind. But know this, once you begin this journey, there is no turning back. The fate of all life in the galaxy may rest upon your decision." As the Guardian disappeared, the gateway pulsed with energy, a shimmering portal forming at its center. Lyra turned to her crew, seeing the mix of fear, excitement, and resolve on their faces. "This is bigger than us," she said, her voice steady, "bigger than the Confederation. If what the Guardian says is true, we may be the only thing standing between life as we know it and total annihilation." She took a deep breath. "I'm going through that portal. I won't order any of you to follow, but I'd be honored to have you by my side." One by one, her crew stood, Zix, Krell, Elia, each of them nodding their assent. They had started this journey as explorers, but destiny had cast them in the role of heroes. "Very well," Lyra said, a small smile playing on her lips. "Send a message to Confederation Command. Tell them everything. The age of innocence is over. It's time for the children of the galaxy to reclaim their birthright and face the coming storm." With those words, Captain Lyra Voss led her crew towards the shimmering portal. As they stepped through, the stellar horizon vanished in a flash of light, leaving behind an empty nebula and a deactivated gateway. The first piece of humanity's cosmic legacy had been found, but the greatest adventure and the greatest threat was just beginning. Awakening the Titan. This part will focus on the crew's efforts to understand and activate the colossal warship, the challenges they face, and the growing tensions among alien races over the discovery. Part 2. Awakening the Titan. The blinding flash of the gateway transition faded, and Captain Lyra Voss found herself standing on the bridge of the Nemesis. The cavernous command center dwarfed anything she had ever seen, its layout both alien and strangely familiar. Sleek consoles pulsed with dormant energy, and a massive view screen dominated the forward wall, currently dark and lifeless. "By the cosmic winds," Krell whispered, his Ursan features slack with awe. "This place, it's incredible." Zix's tentacles waved excitedly as he examined the nearest console. "The technology here is light years beyond anything in the Confederation. It might take decades just to understand the basics." Lyra's antennae twitched as she surveyed her surroundings. "We don't have decades. If the Guardian was right about the void devourers, we need to get this ship operational as soon as possible." As if in response to her words, the bridge hummed to life. Holographic displays flickered into existence, filling the air with streams of data in an unfamiliar language. A soft, feminine voice echoed through the chamber. "Welcome, inheritors. I am ARIA, the Artificial Resonance Intelligence Assistant of the Nemesis. How may I be of service?" The crew exchanged glances of surprise and relief. Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "ARIA, we need to understand this ship's capabilities and get it operational. Can you help us?" "Certainly, Captain Voss. I have access to all of the Nemesis's systems and databanks. However, full activation will require genetic verification from all crew members. This is a safeguard to ensure the ship's power is not misused." Lyra nodded, hope rekindling in her eyes. "It's more than something. It's a chance. We know they can be hurt, and we have a weapon that works against them. Now, we just need to find a way to use it without crippling ourselves in the process." As the gathered leaders began to discuss plans for repairing the Nemesis and preparing for the next inevitable confrontation, Lyra found her gaze drawn to the starfield visible through the observation window. Up there, somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the main Void Devourer fleet was still coming. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. The true test still lay ahead, and the fate of all life in the galaxy hung in the balance. But for the first time since this journey began, Lyra felt a glimmer of true hope. Humanity's legacy had given them a fighting chance. Now it was up to them to make the most of it.